Hi guys, how are we doing? Are we okay? So what I want to do here is go on here live and talk about 5 things you shouldn't do when you go off plan with your food and your exercise. And I see these happen all the time, and see them happen with my clients, see them happen with other people that aren't my clients or hear about them. So it is fairly common that these things happen, and I'm going to make you aware of them today, and hopefully help you next time you go off plan with your exercise or your nutrition, which is inevitably going to happen at some point. The first thing to do is don't panic when you do, because everyone's lives is crazy and you can't always 100% stick to something, whether it be your food or your calories, your macros, or making sure you get enough sessions in for the week. It's not always going to be perfect. So the first thing to do is have that realization, have that expectation that sometimes things aren't always going to be perfect. And like I always say on a lot of posts, your perception is key to that. And the decisions you make from understanding that reality is absolutely key. So don't panic, first of all, when you go off plan with your food and your exercise. Now, this kind of leads me on to my next point. Now, the natural reaction for someone when they go off plan, so let's say, for example, they have 2 pints of beer, is the, oh, fuck it mentality. It's like, well, I've had 2 beers, I might as well now have 10. And it can be with anything. It can be with food. It can be with not getting enough exercise sessions in for the week. It's the, oh, fuck it mentality. Well, 2 beers now, that's me off plan, so I might as well have 10. It's that self-justification of continuing with being off plan and making the process even worse, which is obviously going to make you feel a lot worse about yourself as well. So when you do go slightly off plan, don't make it 20 times worse by having that oh fuck it mentality, and making the situation even worse than it is. 2 things that I see happen massively is, first one being when people go off plan, let's say they have a weekend binge, they then use exercise as a punishment. Now, this really makes my blood boil, because you shouldn't ever use exercise as a punishment, okay? Ultimately, it's going to give you a really, really bad relationship with exercise, because you're not using it for the right reasons. You're just using it to sweat that pizza off, or burn those beers off, as people call it. It's not, you're not using it as a strategic part of your plan going forward. You're just using it for a short-term effect of getting back to the weight you were before you went off plan. So the second point would be, do not use exercise as punishment for when you go off plan. The third one is relatively similar, but related to nutrition, and that is, in a line with using exercise as a punishment, is depriving yourself of the calories that you need for the next week after you've gone off plan, or for the next few days after you've gone off plan. And I see this in the daily trackers of my clients. I let them know, obviously I see it, they're very good during the week. They go slightly off plan at the weekend, which they log, and which is brilliant because they're honest with that. And then I see Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, they've kind of self-diagnosed and self-justified to themselves, well, if I've gone up in calories there, I'm going to go really, really, really low on the calories, when, yeah, they're probably right. They should try and even it out, but they've gone really, really low on the calories and deprived themselves. And long term, it again gives you a really bad relationship with food. Whereas the issue isn't being necessarily you going off plan at the weekend or going off plan. It's the consistency element. So instead of thinking, well, I'll just occasionally go off plan at the weekend and then deprive myself of calories Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find yourself keeping going around in circles, where the actual solution to the problem is consistency throughout the whole week, which is going to solve that problem, which will mean ultimately you probably won't ever have to deprive yourself of calories again and still be in a calorie deficit. Another thing that I don't see people do when they go off plan is they don't learn from it. So they don't actually say, well, I'm actually glad this has happened, and I'm glad this has happened while I'm with a coach, I always say to my clients, I'm glad this has happened while you're being coached by me, because we can work together and we can create solutions and put systems in place, so when it does happen again, you're able to combat it better and get around it a lot better. So the main thing is that it is inevitable occasionally you're going to go off plan. You're going to have weeks where you can't train. You're going to have weeks for whatever reason where you can't eat to a plan. Learn and make sure that next time it comes around, you're better tooled up to deal with it. So they're my 4 reasons. Just in summary, go through them. Don't have the oh fuck it mentality, which means it makes it 10 times worse. Don't use exercise as a punishment. Don't deprive yourselves of calories over the next few days when you do go off plan, and make sure that you learn from it when it does happen. So hopefully those 4 points have helped you. They're 4 points I constantly reinforce with my clients when I see them happening, like I said, on the daily trackers or when I speak to them on the phone. And again, it's not, coaching isn't just a case of exercise plan, nutritional plan, okay, on your way. It's combating these behaviors and these habits, but as well as perception on how you perceive something like going off plan when it does happen. Because your perception on something like going off plan with your food and with your exercise then determines the decisions you make and then the consequent actions you take from that point of view. So it's absolutely huge that your perception is right for when something like this does happen. But have a good Wednesday, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.